This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Be reading my text, a comment that was inspired by my text, and then my response. So of course it's all in my voice. I will say my name 3 times before I begin my text. I will say the commenter's name 3 times before I begin her text. And then finally my name 3 times before I give my reply. Listeners, there are links in this text. I will read over them and not make note of them. But they go to YouTube videos that are mine, and they give background. This is that I have a few select serial readers. There's only a small collection of people that would go to that detail, but if you are listening to me and you are one of them, you got to go to the blog and find the links. Tom. This vid is a milestone in my relationship with family. My relationships with siblings did not immediately warm after the vid, but my links are warmer now, and I point to the family reunion event as the beginning of the end of my iced links. I know that people put themselves in my situation and look at my consequences with iced family links and trace the beginning of the period following to the end of my first marriage. But I've always felt the rift was more traceable to David's funeral. In a conversation with a friend this week, he offered me reason for me being excluded from the family reunion can be traced to the speech I made at the gathering following the great safe service that laid to rest the body of my late son, David. My speech made nearly 100% of the post-funeral audience uncomfortable, which is why, according to my friend, I was excluded. Erica. Tom, don't leave us hanging. What on earth could you have said in your speech that made everyone so uncomfortable? Funerals are emotional times, particularly the funeral of a young person, so it must have been something really unusual that caused your family to shun you for years. Assuming, of course, that your friend's theory is correct. Inquiring minds want to know. Please enlighten us. Tom. Dear Erica, reading your question was awesome for me. I have this event. I feel pivotal in my relationships with family, and my relationships with family is interesting enough to keep the attention of others, including you. The event was left for me to reconcile 100% in solitude, with no one ever saying, huh? Your reply was more articulate than huh, and gave me more to go on. Grazie. It's not what I said, but rather that I said anything. In addition to keeping me at bay during 3 days' deathbed vigil, there was significant effort to keep me away entirely. And above all, for sure, I did not get the floor. The function of my family is queened by Ellen, the firstborn to my parents, Bill and Martha. We were heavily focused on the dad's side of our family, so his sisters, Mary Lou and Helene, parented 14 in a nearly balanced trio of families. The 14 of us are living today. And Kevin was the firstborn, followed soon by Lori. So Helene and Mary Lou became mothers a half-decade before their kid brother, my dad, Bill, became a father. The Mary Lou family was a California family, and Helene and Bill raised the rest of us very near their childhood home. After all this family history is relevant because I think I always knew what nobody talked about. Nobody seems to know except on occasions like my late son's funeral and final ceremony, including the graveside speech. That is, Kevin is boss, unquestioned, every year, every birthday. I always knew it. Everyone bowed to Kevin's support of me to have the floor, and everyone accepted Kevin's. And everyone except Kevin was in opposition. Y was excluded from the deathbed vigil, and Y was nearly unanimous to block me from getting the mic is a mystery that will outlive me. At that point of my life, I had failed marriage, my food science career crashed, and I was married a second time to Hannah, also who I'm married to today. Hannah is with me at this moment, and she does not know the content of the text. You might guess me tapping away is not an event that is attention-worthy. The life events I had accumulated by David's death were overlooked by my sisters and my brother. The fact that they tried to keep me away and couldn't, and tried to keep me from the mic and couldn't, was something unimaginable for their kid brother. I had grown up while they weren't looking and no longer coveted their approval. On the occasion of David's death, and prior to my speech, 3 men had private conversations with me. They were Luke, Jim, and Denny. Each of these men chose to sever their relationships with me when I split with my first wife. And in my speech, I thanked them for their sensitivity and asked for this pattern to continue. Time had shown I got the opposite, like Senator Barack Obama in the DNC 2004 speech. He asked for unity, and he got division. I asked for access to men who were surviving community members of David, and I got the opposite. I was able to recover gracefully, putting me here right now, comfortably tapping away at my story, as if I'm writing someone else's. How did I do this? Many things, including the most relevant is how I leveraged something I always knew to be true. Kevin was king. Petty bitterness that might reveal itself as a force to crush me. But an appeal to the family's top authority would find compassion, which is what I did and what I found. What did I say? I don't know. Was John correct? Yes. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, a restful night's sleep. Ciao.